All right, I'll say, how are you all this day of your time as you create time to exist?
Terrific. Great.
We begin this interaction this evening of your time with the idea of integration and synchronicity. Two concepts which at this timing, according to our perception of your energy, would be most appropriately presented to you. We have discussed in the past with your civilization the idea that your arrow, your barometer, your way or sign which you have asked for throughout the ages of your particular purpose may be established by what you call the idea of your excitement. What does excite you? What does, as you say, ring your bell? What vibrates to you? That which does give you the astute observation that is most appropriate for you. We have mentioned that by doing what does excite you the most, that does indeed place you firmly on the path that you are indeed, and allows you to create your life according to that which you prefer, rather than, as you say, feeling as though life is happening to you instead of from you. Along with the idea of excitement, we have said and added to that concept that your excitement will be interpreted through the idea of occurring with integrity. Many of you upon your society have indeed interpreted that idea of integrity as meaning morality, consensually agreed upon morality. This is not what we speak of. When we speak to you of the idea of integrity, what we refer to as the root of the word from integration. Integration simply being the realization that everything is but an emanation or an facet of one thing. All that is, or God is one thing. And everything in existence is but a simultaneous manifestation of that one thing. And indeed, this realization in and of itself is, shall we say, very key to the understanding of the universe and yourselves. The idea that all comes from one thing and is indeed, although having the appearance of separateness, the illusion of separation, indeed is one integrated thing. So we begin this interaction with that understanding that everything is and stems from one thing. Therefore, with that realization that everything that does occur in your reality is, as you say, a part of that one thing, the idea of integration is that realization in action. In other words, there are two types of, shall we say, behavior. That which does, using that realization that everything is one thing, integrate, and that which is separated, that which does separate down into many parts. Therefore, the idea of doing things with integrity does mean performing actions with the idea of integration, realization of everything as one thing, and realization of your integration within that one homogeneous substance. So indeed, that would translate down to granting validity to all points of view, realizing that ultimate truth is composed of all truths, whether or not they seem that they do contradict one another, each is indeed valid in its own right. It is not that this is true or that is true. It is much more the idea that both have equality, both are true, and that which you do choose to buy into will determine its effect upon you, or the effect that you do create it to have within your life. Therefore, proceeding from an integrated standpoint would mean not having in any way, shape, or form to force your viewpoint upon another. For that, in a sense, is saying your viewpoint is valid and another is not. Everything is all one thing. All points are valid. Does not mean you have to prefer them. Does not mean you must manifest them within your life. May be there for various reasons, reflecting to you various reasons. However, everything is equally valid to everything else. And therefore, with that realization and the realization of essentially what you have labeled the oneness of all things, there is not the necessity to force your viewpoint upon another. Simply that you do provide a reflection for another of your viewpoint, allowing them, if they wish, to glean from that viewpoint what they will. Very often, it may be that they do not prefer that viewpoint. That is okay. And the idea is to allow them to use that reflection in whichever way they will. Not giving the reflection, assuming it must have a particular effect. The greatest service that you can do in your reality, in your existence to another, is not to be responsible for them, but to be responsible to them by being responsible for yourself. And that does simply mean being the best you can be. Realizing what it is that is you, determining that by what does excite you, not invalidating that. Realizing if it does excite you, it is part of your being, and in a sense, the way for you to realize who indeed you even are. However, it does not have to be forced upon another person. And indeed, by reflecting to them, not that which you think they wish to hear, but that which you are, which does represent who you are doing the greatest service to them. For if you do engage in many of your interactions, shall we say, telling people what it is you wish they think that they wish to hear, you are allowing them to have an elaborate conversation with themselves, and in effect are not presenting to them your point of view, which is just as valid as their point of view. Very often you say what someone will wish to hear, more because you do not want to hurt their feelings and have an expectation of a particular reaction. Very often you will find that that reaction does not even occur, and you do perpetuate this tendency, and it is not that they would react in that way with that particular information. For you are within the spectrum, you are within the atmosphere of another's reality to reflect to them your point of view, your portion of reality. And this is the greatest service. If they do indeed choose to use your point of view, that has done them service. If they choose not to use your point of view, that has helped them infinitely to define themselves still further, and therefore of total service to them. So again, you do not need to feel responsible for another, but simply to them by being responsible for yourself. Nothing that you can say to another will, as you say, blow them out of the water. People actually do appreciate other points of view, whether or not they do agree with them. Therefore, the idea of integrity is not forcing is not insisting that when you do allow yourself to reflect yourself to another, that they do accept it in a particular way. Now, the idea of synchronicity is as follows. Many of the concepts we have shared with your civilization can be rendered down to two principles within the ideas of synchronicity that will allow you to be conscious of your creativeness, your creation of your own reality. Very often, we do hear from your society the idea that you do not understand and are unconscious of the fact that you do create your whole entire 100% reality. Therefore, we introduce to you an idea through your language and your terminology you have labeled synchronicity. Synchronicity takes into consideration the idea we have just discussed that everything comes from one thing. Therefore, everything fits, everything belongs. And in effect, everything is purposeful. What we are saying is this: there are no accidents. You may create the scenario with which you may wish to perceive something that you feel does not belong there as an accident, but that is just a definition. There are no overall accidents. Everything, as you may have heard from time to time, has a reason. Maybe that there are varying degrees of significance between different individuals of those particular reasons. But the ones which are important to you to have conscious recognition of will give you that conscious recognition. Therefore, to use some of your more common examples, you are walking down your street. Every person, every building, every flower, every leaf on every tree, the number of the leaves, the color of the leaves, the reflection of the sun on the objects before you, every minute detail is happening for a reason. Again, there are varying degrees of significance. You do co-create your reality along with others that are also creating their reality. And in effect, in a particular situation involving several people, it may be that significance is placed more from one than another. But overall, there is significance to everything. Therefore, this realization will allow you to realize that there is nothing extraneous existing within your reality. Part of what we have said is your best approach to change your reality is to own it. You cannot change what you don't own. If you believe that there are accidents, that things creep in there are extraneous creations, shall we say it becomes a bit more difficult to consciously feel you are creating your reality. If indeed you do realize that everything belongs, everything fits, then you take it back inside yourself, giving yourself equal validity behind all ideas. And that allows you paradoxically, having equal validity, to choose that which you do prefer. Therefore, number one of the 1-2 step we will present this evening of your time is the idea that everything is synchronicity. Now realize we have said it is this and that, not this or that. You can create whatever reality you wish. If you wish to create a reality where much of what happens is seemingly an accident, that will be your perception. Overall, there are no accidents. And in a sense, you cannot change that underlying reality. But you can create, shall we say, an accidental reality. However, again, that does place you in the position of feeling that life is happening to you instead of realizing that in a very real sense it is happening from you. Therefore, the second step of the process we are labeling at this timing is to simply act on the situations that synchronicity does bring you. That does allow more synchronicity to occur, as well as bring to forefront the opportunity that will allow you to create the life you do prefer. Therefore, number one, everything is synchronicity. Number two, act like it. And that's all that is to it. Again, you can make things difficult and complex, but you can also define in your reality that it is that simple. Therefore, again, realizing everything is synchronicity, everything does fit, there are no accidents, and then acting in that mode allows an acceleration, allows you to take what is already in your life and accept it, thereby owning it. Then you can decide if you prefer it, if not, transform it. But it comes back to taking back ownership, as you have colloquially labeled it within your society, taking back your power. The seizing of your time, we will, for particular reasons, as you say, cut the beginning talk short and allow for questions, for we do perceive that there are many. Very often, you will notice you will learn more from the answering of someone else's question than your own. You would not be present in this interaction unless everything within it was relevant to you. As we have said, everything is synchronicity. Therefore, in appreciation for your willingness to interact with us on this level, in appreciation for you being willing to act as ambassadors from your civilization and allowing me to act as ambassadors for our respective civilization, I ask you now, how may I be of service to you, sharing